Hey everyone, welcome to JUCO Jam, Season 3, Episode 4. You might notice that beside me there's this big bearded man. You've seen in JUCO Jams in the past. This is not Brandon Goebel. This is Coach Donnie Jackson from Cowley, the Tiger Master himself. Coach, thanks for joining us.
Hey, I appreciate you calling me out of the bullpen and making a last second appearance. Hopefully, I could get the save here.
Yeah, no doubt. I have complete confidence you are the Mariano Rivera of the show. For those who are wondering, Brandon is stuck on a train somewhere in Eastern Europe without internet connection. So, Coach, we are so glad to have you. Looking forward to your insights. So, let's jump right into the rewind where we talk about some of the big games that happened in JUCO last week. Kind of the first game we're going to talk about on Friday, South Georgia State plays Eastern Florida, pulls off what might be a mild upset, 69 to 65. After losing to Chipola earlier in the week, South Georgia comes back and beats the Titans. I always kind of feel in a game like that, after you've played someone like really, really good, like Chipola, a well-coached Donnie Tyndall team, it kind of helps prepare you for that next really good team that you play. Have you kind of seen that yourself over the years, Coach?
Oh, for sure. I mean, we see it every game in conference play. There's no days off, and you're going to play someone good, but it allows you to use experiences from that, the big game or whatever it is, for that next moment. But one thing I will say about Coach Baldwin, he always gets his guys to compete, and he's always a contender down there in Georgia.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have some more on South Georgia later as we go through this. Another big game, two JUCO Blue Bloods Friday night, Indian Hills at South Plains. They traveled to Levelland and they took on South Plains Friday, Frank Phillips Saturday. Come away with a big 94-88 win. Indian Hills trailed 17 points early in the game. They just kind of kept chipping away, chipping away. Abdoulaye Fall had a really nice game, 24 and 4. He kind of played. He's I guess a wing. I guess he played in your conference last year. You know him better than I do. But he went in the post a lot in this game and really did a lot of damage on the block. And that really, I think, helped get Hills over the top. Interesting game, South Plains, 21 turnovers. They had a huge rebounding advantage, 49-34. Caleb Blackwell, point guard for South Plains, was really dynamic in the game with 21 points. So, Coach, you know Abdoulaye Fall really well. Talk a little bit about him from your time seeing him at Cloud.
Well, last year he went through a patch where he was hurt, and it really hurt Cloud. And I think because of his versatility and you bringing up that they're putting him in the post, and I know he can play on the perimeter, and I mean, he could kind of play all over. He's a tough matchup problem. He was one of my favorite players that were freshmen in the league last year, and I know if he would have been back at Cloud, had not the great Devin Castrop got an assistant spot at Idaho State, I know he would have been a big problem in our league.
Yeah, absolutely. Saturday we had, three really excellent matchups. Indian Hills had the night game, then they returned with a really early, like noon start versus Frank Phillips. They get another big win, 76-62. The little bitty point guard on Indian Hills, Trenton Walters, was really good. He had 17 points. And then Mason Costello, he's a 6'4 freshman from, I think it's Waukegan, Illinois. Um, I take that back. I don't think he's from Waukegan. 4 out of 9 from three, 16 points. He's got this really quick release. He's like a little 6'4 version of Dalton Connect. He's fun to watch. Alim Fezzik for Frank Phillips had 18 points. L.A. Hayes was 16. And then Mady Traore, 7 and 10, kind of the big highlighted feature player for Frank Phillips. Have you had a chance to see Hills or Frank Phillips play at all this year, Coach?
I have had a chance to see Hills. I've watched a couple of their games because they played some Jayhawk schools. And so I really like Cole's team. Cole's doing a great job. I wouldn't expect anything less from him, especially with how competitive he is. One thing about all the Saturday games, we were on the road driving back from Colby, so I didn't get a chance to see anything but the box scores on these three games.
Well, you have always great insights. Even if you've only seen the box scores, Daytona State at Chipola, Daytona wins 65 to 60. Daytona hit 12 out of 21 from three. Eddie Placer with 15, Isaiah Dorcius with 14. Dylan Diaz came off the bench, hit 4 out of 5 threes, which was really huge. Early in the season, Daytona State, they played some tough games. They lost to Northwest Florida 88 to 83. Since then, 7 consecutive wins. Daytona State is a team that's really flying up the polls. Both of these teams were in the national tournament last year. Maybe the two best teams in Florida, certainly probably two of the top three.
Oh, no doubt. That league is brutal, just like our league, and it's going to be whether it's a early season matchup or a late season matchup. I know they have a lot of pride when they play each other, and it's going to be a competitive game.
And then another matchup between two teams who were in the national tournament last year. Vincennes in the PE complex defeats Triton 85 to 71. LeBron Thomas had just a monster game for Vincennes, kind of his coming out party for the year. Really struggled to initiate the offense all season long. And I think part of that is he was the only returner playing with 14 new players, but 39 points, hit 15 out of 15 from the free throw line, 10 rebounds, 6 assists. Michael Cooper, who was a transfer from North Platte with 15 and 6, and freshman Kanazo Chugwu had 11 and 5. Dewan Anderson 13 points for Triton. Chase Coleman with 19 points. He hit 4 out of 8 threes coming off the bench. But don't sleep on Coach Franklin. Coach Franklin knows what he's doing out there. He's kind of a master at molding teams, and I just feel like this could be one of those under the radar Todd Franklin teams. Maybe you got him early, but you may not want to face him late.
No, you can never count out Coach Franklin. I know we recruited the Michael Cooper kid, and he's a very nice pickup for them. But LeBron Thomas, that's a monster game. He's one of the tougher matchups in all of NJCAA, and I wouldn't be surprised if once they start league play that he's the driving force for them making a run in conference play.
I know Coach Franklin is going to push him to get everything possible that he can get out of LeBron this season. That's going to conclude the rewind. We're going to transition right into the rundown. We're going to feature the top 10 games this week. And, Coach, you're going to get to recuse yourself of one, but that's okay. Couple of big games Wednesday night, New Mexico Ranger. That's a great matchup there in West Texas. And then a big game in Region 24, first game of league play for both of these teams. Two pretty recent national champions, John A. Logan and Vincennes. If you put your JUCO fan hat on, Coach, what excites you the most about Wednesday night?
I'd say both games are pretty good ones, but Logan and Vincennes, I think that's a natural rival. And that one probably would have me where, that's one of those games I'd go back and rewatch. But, we scrimmage Ranger, and then I know Coach Luke over at New Mexico. So, there's always those personal investments of people you've played or people that you want to go back and watch. And actually both matchups get me pretty excited.
Yeah, I think I'm interested to watch the New Mexico Ranger game. Rangers had a really difficult schedule. I mean, they go out and they play as many tough teams as they possibly can to try to get as those D1 games in. New Mexico, undefeated, a great record, all Division One games, but they haven't had the opportunity to play a team yet that's ranked or receive votes. Ranger would certainly check that box. And then speaking of tough schedules, Coach Smith Peters at John A. Logan certainly plays one of the toughest schedules in the country. I think he's played Mineral Area twice. He's played Three Rivers twice. He's played Triton twice. So he's played a lot of really tough Division One teams early in the season. So those I think are two good matchups Wednesday night. Friday, a couple of great ones nationally. Monroe, once again, this is a team that is traveling to try to get those elite wins to put them in the mix for those at-large conversations and just to prepare, right, to be as good as you possibly can be down the stretch. Traveling to play Florida Southwest. We have Snow making a big road trip to Indian Hills. I mean, that's a matchup of two top five teams. And then Gillette, undefeated on the season versus a really good Dawson team there in Glendive, Montana. Uh, put your fan hat on. What excites you the most about Friday, Coach?
I think that one speaks for itself. Anytime you have a top 10, top five matchup, Snow and Indian Hills will definitely have my attention.
Yeah.
That's going to be one for the ages right there. I think that's going to come down to the wire and probably be a one or two possession game.
Yeah, I would think so. Two really, really well coached teams. Saturday we have five games. Trinidad State, Salt Lake, two teams that were in the national tournament last year, facing off against each other. Coach Folda at Trinidad State just does a terrific job. They're coming off a win with Odessa. East Florida State versus South Georgia State, a little rematch. South Georgia State, just beat East Florida. Jones traveling to play Mineral Area. Mineral Area team on the rise. First year coach Tony Irons doing a really nice job. Jones trying to do whatever they can to get those marquee wins. They went to the Pensacola Thanksgiving tournament. They're doing everything they can to make that schedule look as good as they can for the at-large committee. You guys have a fun week in the Jayhawk. You got Independence tonight, and then you got Coffeeville on Saturday. And finally, another matchup of two top five national teams, Trinity Valley and Panola. So we're going to skip the Jayhawk for just a second. Not going to make you comment on your own game, but what excites you the most for Saturday? I know you're going to be busy, so you're going to have to go back and watch one of these games.
Well, one, I want to name drop Coach Folda. He does an excellent job at Trinidad State, and he always finds a way to compete against top teams. But another easy one right here, Trinity Valley and Panola. That's going to be one heck of a matchup. Obviously, Trinity Valley with what they're doing, we scrimmage Panola down in Norman, and I know that they have a nice team. Those are actually the two teams when I was watching games down there that I was probably most impressed with in the early scrimmage season. So it's going to be a fun matchup seeing those two go at it, and I think that's a pick'em game. Both well coached, both got players, and that's probably going to be another one or two possession game.
Do you think that's going to be a lower scoring game?
I do. I think it will be, if I was a betting man, probably low 70s, high 60s, right in that
Yeah.
range. Two defensive minded coaches. And it is tough to go on the road. Panola's a tough place to play. Trinity Valley have their work cut out for them, but, I know they're going to be prepared. And that's why I say it's a pick 'em game because both coaches do a great job. And that's definitely an easy game to pick as far as the fan hat on which game I think would be the most exciting on the slate.
And I know you guys play Coffeyville. I know you have a great deal of admiration and respect for Coach Herkelman. But just talk a little bit about maybe the state of the Jayhawk in 2024. Kind of how do you see things so far? I know you're six conference games in, a quarter of the way through. Give me the quarter of the way report.
Well, you kind of said it. A quarter of the way through, so it's hard to believe we still have 18 more conference games to go. That blows my mind as is. One thing I'll say about the Jayhawk coming up here from Oklahoma, it is a completely different animal. Um, it's definitely a marathon and not a sprint. I think I learned that my first 2 years here on just preparation. You can't get too high or too low in the first semester because, well, you can take yourself out of the conversation if you don't have a good start. But things I've learned is teams really start to rally together in the second half, and you start seeing these big runs, and so you never know who's going to move up and down the standings. Case in point, Barton 2 years ago, they started off a little slow, and next thing you know, they're in the region championship game, and then that fueled them to their run last year. But our
Mhm.
league's very well coached. You got veteran coaches that are going to be, with two national champions with Coach Coombs and Jay Herkelman. You got upstart coaches in the league with head coaching opportunities with Coach Eric over at Butler and Coach Pugh, among others. There's other coaches in there too. And you got some other guys with a lot of experience. So I just think it's a really well-rounded league. I mean, I can say something positive about every coach in our league as far as their style of play or their game plans or the tough places to go play. But the Jayhawk will just it'll make you mature as a coach because kind of like Coach had talked about, Coach Turner had talked about, if you're playing four conference games down there in Arizona, you got different packages for different teams at different times. It's kind of the same here because the second go around gets tougher when you start that second round of conference play.
Absolutely. That concludes the rundown. When we come back, we will get in the spotlight with Coach Turner from Eastern Arizona.
Intensity fuels these champion student athletes to greatness. Zurich Insurance is proud to be the official provider of student athlete insurance for the National Junior College Athletic Association. Throughout the highs, we cheer along to their screams of victory. Throughout the lows, we support them through their tears of defeat. Zurich Insurance, helping student athletes play the sport they love.
Hey everyone, welcome back to JUCO Jam. We are honored to have Coach Cameron Turner from the Eastern Arizona Gila Monsters out of Thatcher, Arizona. Coach Turner, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Awesome. So a little bit of background on the Gila Monsters. You guys are off to a fantastic start. You're 10-1 on the season. I don't know too many teams out there who can say that they're 5-0 in true road games, 1-0 neutral court. The good folks at Thatcher haven't got to see you very much so far this season. You guys have an incredible, difficult schedule, D1 games only across the board. Just talk a little bit about the season so far, and then your thoughts on compiling this incredibly challenging schedule that you put forth for the Gila Monsters in 2024-25.
Well, our conference changed last year. So tradition, we had been paired with the Division twos. They're mostly in Phoenix and Tucson. And the administrators made a decision to split. And so we knew in the past it kind of hurt us to potentially get at large bids. So I had been told, by Tom McDonald's and some other people, hey, go play as many Division I games as you humanly can. So that's what we did. And I knew I got to go win on the road. And my background from Alaska Anchorage, you had to travel there all the time. So you make no excuses when you travel. If the court's the same size, it just is what it is. So I don't let my guys complain about travel. So we just have that mindset. We will play anywhere against
And
anyone.
speaking of travel, this weekend, I haven't verified this, but my hunch is this is the longest JUCO road trip of the season when you fly to Baltimore to take on Allegheny and in Baltimore City. Allegheny, of course, a very tradition-rich program that's been to the national tournament many times. Like what went into getting that event put into place? That couldn't have been an easy thing to pull off.
Well, our administrators knew we were going to have to travel some to get those Division I games because out west it is harder for us to find games because we're just the distance. We have 9-hour conference games. So for us to travel, it is what it is. So I was looking around the country of what teams need other Division Is, and I knew out there in the Northeast area they needed games like we do. So Coach Wooden at Baltimore City, we talked and we say, hey, let's do this. So we're headed out there, and he helped me out get another game because financially I got to play more than one game when I go out there. So we're gonna play 2 games out there at Baltimore City. So it just kind of worked naturally out just to find games that fit kind of the time frame that we needed. So
And
it
then
was
one of
great that we got this, and then it's going to be unique because I'm all about creating like memories for our guys. So on Thursdays we're going to the White House, meeting one of Arizona's senators. So it's not just hoops. We're also going to do some other things while we're out there because it's
I
such a
love that.
unique experience.
All right, get some crab cakes while you're out there, right? Get the full ambiance of being in the greater Baltimore area. And then you guys are actually hosting a nice tournament right after the first of the year. You're bringing in Truman from the Chicago area, and then Gadsden State out of Alabama. And Gadsden State is really good. They've been receiving votes all season long. So that's a nice event that your administration is helping to bring in other teams to Thatcher.
Yeah, yeah, we get great crowds out here. Being a small town, we get to be kind of the Phoenix Suns of the Gila Valley here. So people pull up to our games. So it's a great time for hoops. And it'll be right when the kids have gone back to school. So parents are going to be looking for things for them to do. So it was a great time. And again, I want to play as many different regions as possible while I'm out there. This whole season. So we'll end up playing 7 different regions. Again, that does not happen for teams out west because it's so hard. So I tried to work at it literally the whole summer to find games.
That's
So,
awesome.
and I got it to work.
I wanted to ask you about a couple of your players. You guys have a lot of depth, but 3 players specifically. Amari Caraway, probably a really under-recruited guy nationally. He's averaging 15 points a game, 47% from three, and one of my favorite stats, he's a 91% free throw shooter. If we did a JUCO Jam free throw shooting contest, I think Mr. Caraway would get an invite. You have Terrence Warren, who I know was injured a little bit, missed a couple of games, but he's back. 52% from 3-point land, and then Caden Erickson 14 and a half points a game. He's shooting 48% from three. So you got these three guards, 47, 52, and 48. How are you not just wanting to launch 35, 43s a game at that clip?
Because I don't let them. So, uh, I talk about ball movement, let's work inside out, and then that's usually where they get good shots. So, with Scoot, well, Amari, we call him Scoot. Everybody's calling him that. It's his birthday today, so happy birthday, Scoot.
Awesome. Happy
Um,
birthday.
he's definitely under recruited. He's as a point guard. He's a winner, and at that spot, I always look for winners. He won a state title in California at the second highest level. Um, he just has that knack, that moments. He wants those moments to play in. So he's very confident in his abilities. Yeah, he's small, right? So everyone's going to overlook him now until the end of the year when they actually need a guard that can put the ball in the hole and can run a team. That's when they'll look to him. And he knows that. He trusts himself and trusts the process here that we've created. So I just he's going to put the ball in the hole. No way around it. He's
I
going to
love it.
figure it
Now,
out.
I'm just going to sit back and let you coaches talk. I know Coach Jackson probably has some hard-hitting questions.
All right, coach. You just
Uh,
went on the road and you just won a big game.
yep.
And you're not wanting to take the guys to McDonald's, and you're not wanting to take them to Taco Tico or Sonic. You're wanting to feed them a really good meal, and you decide to pull up to the red and green neon lights. What's going to be your go-to meal for yourself when you head to Chili's?
Oh, oh. I'm a chips queso guy, so nothing too fancy. So, but I love queso.
Well, I think we're on the same page right there. I remember being on this last year with you guys, and I went with the triple dipper.
There must be something about coaches and the appetizers. So maybe we get you guys to the national tournament this year. We can all sit down. We can have some chips and queso, some triple dipper. Just do like a full spread of appetizers. Apparently, that's your guys' love language.
Well,
Yeah,
if that
that's my thing. And I,
materializes,
for whatever reason, I always have to get an Arnold Palmer, get the lemonade iced tea mix. I do it every time I travel in every restaurant. I don't know why. That's my thing.
yeah, if that materializes, count me in. I'm there.
Like,
That's awesome. Well, I hope to see both of you at the national tournament in Hutchinson, Kansas. Coach Turner, thank you so much for joining us in the spotlight on JUCO Jam. I wish you and the Gila Monsters nothing but the most success and really the recognition that I think you so rightly deserve the rest of the season. So good luck, stay healthy, and enjoy your time in Baltimore this weekend.
awesome. Appreciate it. Thank
Safe
you.
travels, coach.
Thanks.
All right, stay tuned. When we return, we'll get into the grind.
As the second largest intercollegiate athletic association in the country, the NJCAA serves not only a pivotal role in college athletics, but in higher education. The NJCAA Foundation aims to move the association forward through resources, grant programs, and other special initiatives. Your gift to the NJCAA Foundation will make a difference and create opportunities.
What makes a life a good one? Is it our adventures? Or the friends we find along the way? Is it the challenges we conquer together? Maybe it's the people's lives we touch every single day. So, what makes a life a good one? You'll have to figure that one out for yourself.
Welcome back to JUCO Jam. We are going to get into the grind where we talk about a current JUCO player having a lot of success on the court. Today we're going to talk about Abdul Bashir. He's a 6'7" guard from Omaha who is Casper Thunderbird, having an amazing season, averaging 30 points a game, 90% free throw shooter, 43% from deep, just having an incredible season. Coach, I know you've had the opportunity to see Abdul play. What are your thoughts about him as a player? What do you like in his game?
Yeah, it's just so smooth and effortless, especially his shot. And I mean, watching him this summer at Brandon's event was very impressive. He shoots with range. It's just very fluid. And, I've had a chance to catch a couple of their games, and just the way he scores, it just seems easy. And, I know down the stretch, Casper's going to be a very tough out, and he's a big reason why.
And I think, one of the things that he's improved in his game between his freshman and sophomore season is I think he's a much better ball handler and facilitator, where I felt like he was more of just a catch and shoot guy last year. And I mean, that's a large generalization, but I think he's definitely added to his game to be able to do more than just be a shooter.
Well, it's definitely very telling with all of his recruiting. I know that the Casper's very busy with high major schools coming in there.
And I think there's a good chance he might be the national player of the week, but I think there's somebody else who might be in contention there. You want to do a little name drop for your guy?
Yeah, hey, I saw Bashir had a really good week, and he's definitely very deserving. But I think MJ Whitlock, who had a 28-point game on Wednesday, then he had 32 on the road in a much-needed performance against Colby, and he averaged 30 on the week and hit 11 threes. So I think the voters will hopefully MJ gets Jayhawk Player of the Week first, but I think he would be contention for Player of the Week in our conference, and I'm hoping National Player of the Week. But looks like he has some pretty good competition right here.
It would be fun if they did like a like a little pedestal, right? Like a gold, silver, bronze, like recognize more than just one. There's so many great great stories that come out of, junior college basketball every single week. And that's going to transition us really nice to the show where we're going to talk about a former junior college player that's really having a lot of success at the Division I level. Today we're going to feature Sean Smith, who was on the John A. Logan National Championship team. He's a 6'3" guard from Louisville. He's on Western Illinois right now, the Leathernecks with Coach Boudreau, who was the head coach at Highland. You got Coach John Clancy as assistant coach there, who was at Triton. So there's a lot of JUCO lineage there at Western Illinois. But Sean Smith at John A. Logan, I thought, was the best on-ball defender in junior college basketball at that time. He was just a defensive nemesis that really interrupted the flow of a team's offense. And he has really taken that skill set of being a good defensive player, and his offensive game has really flourished. He's actually had back-to-back triple doubles, and on the season he's averaging 11 and a half points, 6 rebounds, 5.4 assists. I don't know necessarily where his future goes from here, but it sounds like there's a really, clear path to professional basketball at some point in his future. So it's really cool to see a kid that, went through the junior college system, who was actually a reserve on the national championship team, that's put himself in position to, make a career of playing basketball.
One thing I thought that you brought up, his on-ball pressure is definitely an undervalued skill to me. Like I think that can change the game. So I love to hear stories like that of him having a lot of success and it coming from the side of the ball that is probably not as popular as the offensive side.
Doesn't always, it's hard to put it in a box score, right?
Oh yeah.
Guard was so disruptive, opposition could not get into offense, right? But it makes such a huge impact on the game.
And it's funny hearing you say that it does. And I hear more coaches asking, about guys and what roles they play in recruiting now because they don't want to just have a bunch of scores. And I think that's really refreshing. And I hope that's the new trend in recruiting is that the guys that do the dirty work are the ones that start getting more recognition and getting opportunities at the next level.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on Emeka Oporum at Butler, the big kid? I just feel like while his stats may not be there as a freshman, I'm just like, man, that's a guy that impacts winning.
I we I watch a lot of Butler's games, and it's if he's not blocking the shot, he's altering the shot. If he's not you know, getting the lob on their Spain action, he's forcing help and they get an open three. Like what he brings to the table is incredible. And I'm not looking forward to going against him. I know he impacts winning probably more than anyone in our league currently. It doesn't mean that there aren't other guys, but when I watch games, it's like, wow, he really alters and blocks a lot of shots.
I figure we would go to the opposite side of the spectrum, right? We talk about the on-ball point guard that's a disruptor. Then so throw a love to the big guys out there. We probably have a lot of big guys who are JUCO Jam fans as well. So,
It's no coincidence Corey Thomas did that for us last year.
yeah, absolutely. And how is Corey Thomas doing? Give us a little Corey Thomas update here.
I think he's had some ups and downs. Seeing the transition of you got to be consistent in practice, but I know he's had some really positive moments. He's in the rotation. I think he just played 18 minutes the other night in their conference opener. And one thing he's starting to do is go into the game and rebound and alter shots right away. So that kind of goes to what we're talking about. Is his role is to go in there and hit the glass and wall up. And I think if he does that, he'll continue finding a few more minutes on the court.
Yeah. And if he does that role, that provides opportunities for other things that I think he adds to the table as well, right? You have to exceed in the role you're given maybe before you get the opportunity to excel in maybe the role that you want or added responsibilities. But that concludes the show, the segment of the show. When we return, we'll have our closing thoughts in the sixth man.
Intensity fuels these champion student athletes to greatness. Zurich Insurance is proud to be the official provider of student athlete insurance for the National Junior College Athletic Association. Throughout the highs, we cheer along to their screams of victory. Throughout the lows, we support them through their tears of defeat. Zurich Insurance, helping student athletes play the sport they love.
Welcome back to JUCO Jam. We are now in the sixth man. This is where we just have some closing thoughts. And Coach Jackson, I can't thank you enough for being with us today. I know Brandon's going to really enjoy watching the show whenever he gets internet connection once again somewhere in Europe. But I want to talk to you a little bit about one of your players from last year, Jeff Nwankwo. Probably enjoyed watching him as much as anybody in junior college basketball last year. Signs with Oklahoma. Tears his ACL, I believe, in the offseason. I know Oklahoma was really, really high on him. How is Jeff doing? What's the prognosis? How are things looking for him?
Well, one, I want to say, Brandon, safe travels. Definitely miss you on JUCO Jam. Always enjoy watching all the episodes with you too. And then the actual injury was an Achilles, and
Sorry, Achilles. Yeah.
yeah, he tore it on a backdoor play this summer, and we stay in constant communication. And he's shooting, he's running, he's starting to do 5-on-0, so he's trucking along. And I know Oklahoma is very high on him, but he has one of the more incredible work ethics I've ever been around. And I know when he gets healthy for next season, he'll be an impact player for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And Cowley this year, you guys, I think, are number 9 in the country right now in the most recent poll. Off to another great start. Your only loss on the season was to NEO, I believe. Is that right? And
Yeah, they're a pretty good team too. I was talking to Jeremy the other day, and to think back at that point of the season, you had Butler, us, and NEO all in the same classic, and in retrospect,
it was like a
I
Final
know
Four.
I would kill
You
if
would
it
take that,
was.
right?
I would take that today. But in retrospect, I mean, that was a really good classic, and it's exciting to see how well their teams are doing. With Jeremy being an old rival in Region 2, that was one of our teams when I was at Tonkawa. We always seemed to have really tough matchups with, and we met a lot in the playoffs. And then, with Eric's success over at Butler, getting his first shot as a head coach, you can see his hunger and passion, and it's kind of fueling Butler's early success.
One of the guys I wanted to ask you about, and I know Brandon would be upset if I didn't. One of his JA48 invites, Slim Hugie. Talk a little bit about Slim, what he brings to your team. I think right now is he your biggest available player at 6'6"? I know you guys are a little bit smaller. You guys are a small but hardy breed over there at Cali. You're not going to overwhelm people with size. It's heart and tenacity.
Well, I always tell every coach when they see us, like, we don't look the part. We are definitely not the bulkiest or biggest team, but what we don't have in size, we definitely make up for in heart. Who knows, how long we can keep our little early season run going, because there's a lot of big games on our schedule that are coming up. But the one thing I will say is the guys will scrap around and be gritty, and you just hope and they also play for each other. But Slim's a big reason for that. He brings a lot of energy to the team. He's grown so much from one year to the next. Last year, he drove me crazy on occasion, maybe more than just occasionally, let's say frequently. But this year, he's had a lot of positive energy. Anytime that it looks like we're going to have a bad day in practice, he's picked it up and had my back. And so it's been fun watching his game grow, but more importantly, his leadership abilities grow.
That's awesome. I want to give a little bit of a shout out to your administration and media team. I think you guys have just an amazing live stream that you guys put on. That appears that you guys have an absolutely great fan base. It looks like the place always has a lot of energy and good vibes going on there. So it's fun to watch your Tiger home games. And I just wish you nothing but the best. You deserve it. And I just really appreciate you coming on and willing to help out today and be our closer.
No, I appreciate that. Shout out to CSN. They do an unbelievable job, and very appreciative of the work that they do. And thanks for having me. Super appreciative, and look forward to follow more JUCO hoops.
Awesome. All right, guys, that is JUCO Jam Season 3, Episode 4. We gave you some great games to watch this week. Make sure you tune in, follow all the great junior college action, and make sure to check out Coach Cowley and the Tigers. Check out Coach Turner and the Gila Monsters. Both have some big games coming up. Coach, wish you the best. Have a great sports week.
Thank you.